Welcome everybody, I'm Vincent Devall with Eagle Homes powered by EXP, and I'm with
Brad Brewer, also with Eagle Homes powered by EXP, as if I was going to say anything different other than...
Hey, happy Monday. We're here in our podcast, Eagle's Nest. Beautiful Monday morning. It's supposed to start warming up. I'm kind of excited about that. Brad and I got to hit golf balls last night. Inside, of course.
Inside still.
It was still a little chilly, but it's starting to warm up, and for those that know us, golf is a passion of ours. So thanks for joining us today. Brad, what do we got for topics?
Hey, let's not skirt over that weather thing, though. Though it's supposed to rain quite a bit this week. We're all in the 40s or 50s this week. Let's get excited. Come on, round of applause. Woohoo! Hopefully y'all can hear those sound effects.
Yeah.
We're real honest. We're not sure if these sound effects on this keyboard are working, but
We hear them in our headsets. That's all that matters. So that happens.
That was me a lot of laugh. So, all right, today got a couple topics. Is the market going down? And Vince is going to kick us off because I know this is on the top of his head. Why it's so darn important to get that pre-approval and understand your buying power before you start shopping.
Yeah, I think. I think there's a couple key things. One is understand your buying power. Two, understand your payments that you would like to see, because there is a difference. For those that don't realize it, you could get pre-approved for a house that's $300,000, but your payments could be, $1,700-$1,800 a month. Is that really what you want? So understand where your buying power is, and then understand what your payments, really want your payments to look like. So that's key number one. And then number two, not only does it give you an idea where you're at, when you're ready to write that offer, it gives you so much more leverage than somebody that all of a sudden has to get approved on a Saturday afternoon, and to find out, we can't get a lender to talk to them. We do have some great lenders that we work with that make themselves available on Saturdays on a regular basis. So I know Brad's been in a couple situations where he's reached out to lenders and they've been able to work their magic on a Saturday. But why go through that headache? Why go through that stress? Why put yourself in that situation? I mean, us as agents, we do this all the time. We see it all the time. But you as a buyer, you're doing it once every 5 to 7 years. So it's important that you understand. It's important that you understand the importance of it, right? What key tips do you have for buyers when it comes to getting pre-approved, Brad?
Well, I think what you said is huge. I can't tell you how many times in my career I've run across it when we're, because popular shopping days and going on showings is Friday evenings. Obviously during the week, yes, but Saturday and Sundays.
Right.
It's a time when you're off work and you want to go look at houses, and there's houses hitting the market for the weekend. And we're in the situation, if you're not prepared, and as competitive as the market's been the last several years, and in certain price points, it's definitely still very competitive. You're in a situation where we don't have a true pre-approval, and we're submitting an offer, saying we're going to get it by Monday and stuff like that. Well, if you've got 3 other offers in hand that are actually pre-approved or cash or whatever, you're going to wait?
Probably not.
Even if you have the best overall terms and price and all that stuff, are you going to wait? No, you're not. So it just can cost you. So that's hugely important. I can't emphasize enough what you also said about the fact that you want to understand your comfort level with your payment.
Right.
Okay. And I'll go a little beyond that too. Now, all of these, and we're going to get into some stuff as far as buying versus renting and stuff like that. But then with a home comes, some routine maintenance stuff. You've got, lawn care. Wintertime, you got snow removal. Obviously things you can do yourself, or you got to pay somebody to do it. So,
Right.
But understanding, where you're comfortable at with that monthly payment, and I can assure you, and we'll get into this later, it's probably right now better than if you were renting that same exact property, because rental rates are really jumping up.
They are. A different in rentals we can go, and that's a whole nother sidebar. We'll probably touch on that a little bit too. But when we talk about buying power, a lot of people are upgrading, right? They're going from maybe a small 2-bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom home. So not only are you talking about those routine maintenance, but also your utility costs. Things people always forget that, maybe their rent had electric and water included, or trash removal or whatever.
Sure.
And then you go buy a house and all of a sudden you're paying a $200 a month electric bill and you're like, oh crap, I did not take that into consideration.
Yeah.
So looking at all of those extra costs that come to home ownership, it goes beyond just your principal, your interest, your taxes, and insurance. It also goes to your utilities. Maybe you got lucky and you shared internet with the person in the lower half of your building, right? So keeping all of that in mind and looking at that, the big picture of what that's gonna cost you. So yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, you're hearing a lot right now about the interest rates. And yes, I had some calculations, I don't have them in front of me, but I was looking at the $300,000 mortgage price range for something the other day, and the difference from when interest rates were about not threes. So we just really have to realize we're probably some people think we'll never see that in our lifetimes again. Of course, it depends on how old you are.
Yeah.
But I never say never. It's just it's highly unlikely.
Right.
But will we see things again in the fours, low fives? Absolutely. They're projecting potentially still yet this year for some of those things. But that adage of marry the house, date the rate type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, mortgage rates right now are 6.55. They were hanging out there on Friday. You've got 30-year VAs are 6.19.
And keep in mind, guys, this is a national average that Brad's going
Correct.
off. So
Correct.
our local lenders do things just a little bit different.
Correct,
So.
and you can do things like buy down, but you can buy down your interest rate. There's options. There's all kinds of options. But yeah, this is a national average. FHA is 6.15. They are projecting these things go down. So when you say date the rate, well, what does that mean? Well,
to the housing market,
anytime anytime interest rates drop,
mortgage rates,
go ahead and contact your lender.
Right.
I asked the lender one time, I said, hey, when interest rates drop, how much of a drop before should I call you? Like if I'm at 6 and interest rates drop, what percentage should I at least make the phone call to see if it's maybe worth refinancing? She said about 0.5%.
Yeah.
So if they drop 0.5%, you should call your lender and say, all right, does this make sense? Now, because there's a cost to it, there's processing fees, and there's still lender fees because they're still doing a loan that requires labor and all those things to do it. But that's about the percentage. So understanding the fact that yes, they're probably higher than you want right now. They probably will go down. They will go up and down. So just those are things as homeowners you want to monitor basically. And I went over that with a new buyer last weekend, and they understood it very well, and they actually were excited. They're like, hey, that's right, interest rates will go down. Let's just find a place we love.
Yeah.
And if you have to eat, if you can't go out to eat once or twice a week extra for 6 months,
Ramen noodles, buddy.
I'm
Ramen
sorry, I have to go down a rabbit hole. I had ramen noodles in college. Never really looked at the nutritional value to them.
Who does?
They're actually, from my opinion, from a lot of other crap that we consume, they're not that bad.
Unless, if you leave half the sodium pack out of it. Yeah.
I do think no. I don't do the sodium pack at all.
No?
So one of my favorite things is taking bacon that wife's made or something. We had ham sitting around. Then we had some corned beef. So on Saturday morning, by the way, because of course we didn't even touch on this last week, but St. Patrick's Day was Friday, and the wife made corned beef. My wife. I don't like when I say the wife. I apologize. Yeah, that's wrong. My wife, my lovely wife. She made corned beef. Next
She's not
morning,
up right now to listen to this.
She's not, but she might see the recording, so that'd be nice. Got up, was hungry about 11, and I started ramen noodles. I'm like, what else would be good in there? So the one thing I've been doing was 2 eggs over easy on top, let the yolk kind of do the flavoring, so I don't do the pack anymore. I added the corned beef. delicious. One of my favorite meals right now. And it's cheap as heck. Now, the corned beef normally would be pretty expensive, actually, but my bargain shopping lovely wife hit up Best Bargains, and I'm not paid to say Best Bargains, but they have great prices on your
on everything.
And by the way, we should shout out, of course, we didn't say we are at Loop Commons, like we always are, enjoying Bevan's delicious coffee he brews. And he's not paying us to say this.
Nope.
The coffee's really good.
Let's go back to interest rates a little bit, right?
Sure.
The other thing, there's this rabbit hole.
I said it was going down it, now we're back out.
So, two things. One is there are lenders out there, so keep this in mind and maybe even ask them about it, but there are lenders out there that for the next year to 2 years, depending on their program, will refinance you if rates drop at no cost. Now, that's, there's some fine line and fine print to that. You may still have to get the appraisal. You may have to pay for the appraisal. Some lenders today are even waiving an appraisal fee. They're paying for the appraisal fee if you use them. So lenders are incentivizing you to work with them. So don't be afraid to ask that question.
Absolutely.
If they tell you this is what it is, call bullshit. Ask for, be like, hey, some places are giving me this. Now, remember that lender might be giving you a lower rate, and therefore they're charging you for everything, where another lender might be charging you a little bit higher rate and giving you some free stuff on the end. Let's be honest, they're making that cost up by that higher rate, and they're backdooring you. So keep that in mind. Also want to share, there's a YouTube video out there. So, being part of EXP, there was a fast forward event last 2 weeks ago now in San Diego. A bunch of EXP agents in our group, fast forward group, that went out to San Diego and listened to a bunch of top producing agents, national speakers, just a lot of great talent for 2 days, or was it? Yeah, it was 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
Just sharing information. But where I'm going with this is there's a gentleman by the name of Barry Habib. He spoke at the Fast Forward movement. He is a well-known public speaker, economist, person, someone that understands mortgage rates and what they're doing. He predicted a lot of stuff over the last 15 or 20 years and has been spot on. I mean, to the point where CNN, NBC, and a lot of those big news chains actually call him out and say, wow, he predicted this 2 weeks ago and this is what happened. So he actually talked about interest rates getting down back into the 5s this year, solidly. And I'm pretty impressed with that. And I shared that with a bunch of agents that we know. But if you listen to him speak and all the data he shares and the explanation on why he does it, but look him up on YouTube, Barry Habib, Habib, really goes into a deep conversation about what it's going to do and why it's going to do it. So we'll see if he's spot on again this year. I'm tracking it. It's kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's kind of, do you have anything else on mortgage rates? Because otherwise, that actually is a really good segue into the second part of our conversation.
No, let's go.
Sweet. So, great segue there on national, some of these national people that really, they spend a lot of time diving into the numbers, looking at trends, going, way back, probably when stuff was obviously recorded before the computer was around. So, Keeping Current Matters is another resource that we use for data. And again, what we're going to talk about a lot is national averages. So I saw an article from Keeping Current Matters, and they're usually very accurate on this stuff because, again, these are guys that this is what they do. They track these trends. Now, again, they're always giving national stuff, so you have to bring it down. I'll make a comment here in a minute about that. So they came out and said that at national average-wise, home prices are actually going to potentially dip about 1.5% this year. I'm kind of want to call a little bullshit on it because, again, it's a national number, and I don't have the national number. I'm going to bring it locally. I don't think we're going to do it locally because I think there was some inflated purchasing going on.
100%.
Especially probably 2020, 2021, midway or whatever. Maybe even slightly early 2022. So with you pull out the inflated buys, I think you're probably just...
Which were a hell of a lot.
Yeah, it was. I think you're just a little bit of appreciation. But, and I think that's part of, that could be, and they didn't state it in the article, but then after this year, they project from like 2024 to 2027, like a 1.5%, 2 or 3, and then a 4.5%.
Yeah.
So they predict the appreciation starts going to jump back up. Again, if you've never heard us say this before, the normal appreciation is around 1 to 3% is normal. So now we start getting back above by 2027, in the 4s again. That's really good appreciation. Why is that important now, even though you might have a dip? Well, even a first-time home buyer, probably the average length you buy a home or own a home is 5 to 7 years. The next demographic's usually 7 to 10 years, around the 10-year mark. Those statistics fluctuate here and there. So that means you're actually going to have positive appreciation if you take the averages. So why should you buy a home then this spring and not wait till 2024 or just this year? Well, number one, these things are always true. Buying a home helps you escape the cycle of rising rents. We just made the comment earlier. Inventory overall is still low. As long as inventory is low, which it will probably remain low for the foreseeable future, interest rates are going to go up. What else rising rents will continue to rise. What else causes rents to rise? Same thing that causes every other thing else to rise. Inflation. Though inflation, I think I heard recently, it calmed down a little bit, it's still on the rise.
Yep.
So, over the past several decades, the median price of rent has risen consistently regardless of what's going on. Okay.
And I'm going to add a little segue into
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
I'm a landlord, right? So we own rental properties, my wife and I. And we, every year rent goes up for all of my tenants. Now, our costs also go up a little bit. Our taxes go up every year, but if I raise the rent $30 a year, and I apologize if all my tenants are watching this, but if I raise the rent $30 a year or $50 a year, whatever that is, and some of my units are well under rented right now. Mm-hmm. But if I raise it $30 a year, that's $360, or $30 a month, that's $360 a year. Did my taxes go up that much? Maybe not. So we're looking at padding our pockets as well. Landlords, we're business people. We don't do this for shits and giggles. No. We do it for the long haul, the long ownership. I mean, my units I bought at a very reasonable price, and where they're at today, 3 years later. Am I 3 years in now, Brad? I think so.
Yeah.
Three.
Yes, this December, I think.
Yeah, November. Yeah, it was right before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
We'll be 3 years into these units, and I could easily sell them and take that money and put it into something else, but
probably another rental property,
or a couple more at that point.
Or a couple more.
I think so. But my point is that rents will continuously go up. Your mortgage, the mortgage and the interest will stay constant.
Yep.
The only part of your home ownership that will go up, that fluctuates year over year, goes up at all, is taxes, right? So it's important then at that point in time, we're coming up to voting season. Mm-hmm. For local community boards, things like that. So it's important that you're getting out there and you understand what that does and how it affects you as a homeowner. But your taxes go up, and then your variable costs such as electricity, things like that. But
yeah, gas is usually the biggest fluctuator. Yep. As far as the utility wise, and then internet, phone, those are all controllables to a degree. Just shop the best, and then
unless you're YouTube TV.
Correct, right? Although did you see the announcement?
I know, that's why I said that.
They have
give them credit. They haven't raised their price in 3 years.
It's been 3 years, but they're starting to give up. They're not near cable yet, so I'll probably still keep the YouTube TV. But anyway, absolutely, those are common factors. Home insurance, I've been pretty good luck with that. I don't know if you've ever seen yours go up. Usually mine stays
pretty constant.
Unless
you have a claim.
Unless you have a claim, which I've never had luckily in my home, which is good. So that's good. Anyway, all right. Number 2. Homeownership is a hedge against inflation. You just mentioned it. Key advantage to homeownership is that it's one of the best hedges against inflation. When you buy a home, we just said this basically, so we have ESP. Because of your fixed rate, you secure housing payments so you don't have to worry about when rents go up.
Yep.
Yeah, you're fixed. fact, you've, again, control over there, because if interest rates go up, once you're there, well, you do nothing, but you have the power. If they go down, you can actually decrease your mortgage.
When's the last time you went to your landlord and said, hey, Mr. Landlord, can I, instead of paying $1,000 a month this coming year, can I only pay $950 because interest rates dropped? As a landlord, I would laugh at you and move on.
Right, exactly. All right, let's go ahead, since we kind of covered this unknowingly, we're gonna go on to number 3. Homeownership is a powerful wealth building tool. I got some comments about this back over the renter thing in a second, but what it says is the average net worth of a homeowner is $255,000 compared to $6,300 for a renter. So that's taking your overall wealth.
Well, yep.
Because typically, for most people, when you talk about, now you may have several.
I don't know if you guys heard that. That was a sad trombone. All right. There we go.
Anyway.
Brett gave it up.
Yeah. Anyway, so of course, for most people, yes, you get a 401ks and retirement accounts that could be worth more than your home. For most people, their home is that single one asset that's worth the most money, right?
Yep.
So that's huge. And I'm going to kind of move this back over to what we were saying in regards to when you're talking about, owning rental properties, being a landlord. And by the way, if you want to know, we can help you be a landlord without being a landlord. So there's ways to do that, but that's another topic for a different day. But anyway, for when you buy it, I saw a thing the other day. It was kind of cool. And I'm not going to get all these right, but
Okay.
It was a landlord. It was like on a social media post. It, rental number 1 pays our car payments. Rental number 2 pays our mortgage. Rental number 3 pays for our vacations. Rental number 4, and I don't remember what that was. But it was like, the point being basically, let your assets pay for your liabilities. Because let's face it, now, do I consider the home, and he said rental number 2 pays the mortgage? No, but that's the liability portion of your asset, right?
Right.
Is your home. So let your rentals pay for your other home. And that was the thing, is let your rentals pay your liability. I thought that was huge. That's
Right.
a really smart comment. And it makes me want to jump into the landlordship, because I've been slacking in that. So. But,
Yeah. So, homeownership has a ton of keys. You're hedging your bet, right? You're putting more equity into your back pocket. You're creating generational wealth, not just for yourself, but your family, and things like that. It's something that, with rising costs and interest rates and things and whatever else, it's a staple. It's steady. It is steady for you. It's not going anywhere. You have a chance to decrease it in the long run. And back to Brad's point earlier, right?